Alright, today we are going to be replacing tie rod ends, tie rods actually, the whole thing on a Toyota Paseo. And this is going to be up for 91 to 99. So I'll just go ahead and show. These are off of Rock Auto. Here's the new one. And then here is the old one as well as the old tie rod ends. So I'll show you what to do here. Okay, so we're under the car now. Got it on jack stands. You can see here is the new one that I put in. So that's the boot, or use that, and then a whole new tie rod. But first thing you want to do is you can take off this boot here. So what you have to do is get a screwdriver in there, and these are not going to be reusable, but the end piece is. And you're basically just gonna pry it and get it kind of mangled so you can just get a bigger screwdriver in there without poking a hole in the boot. That's something you don't want to do. So now I can get this bigger one in here. Just keep on going. You basically want to get this so the boot pops out. So that's good. We'll take this off once we take the whole thing off, but you can see this has a leaky boot actually. There we go. So it basically just sits, the boot sits on the outside of this, and then it holds it so it can't go over this ledge. But so we got that off. We'll go ahead and move on to the passenger side now and get everything unbolted. Okay, so now we are over on the passenger side, and here is the tie rod end. So you can kind of see right here there's going to be a kind of like a cotter pin. This is basically what it looks like right here, this thing. So we're going to need to get that off first. Alright, so I'm not even gonna waste my time. Since I already did the other side, I know these are literally like rusted into it. So I broke off the like back end of the cotter pin, and then I'm gonna take the cutoff wheel and cut this little notch off, try to get as much as I can, and then basically just gonna impact it off. Okay, I just cut a barely little notch in there, so that should work. And then the one thing you want to note is if you're going to cut this, make sure you don't cut this part here, because this is the actual knuckle. And well, I mean, it's pretty obvious why you wouldn't want to count that, but also I got my 19 here, and it kind of fits now, so there we go. So I'm basically just going to fucking take the impact to it, and we'll see what it does. Okay, so I took the 19 to it, and after hitting it a couple times, it just started spinning, just because there's so much. It's the wrong size. This is actually 17, but there's enough rust that I couldn't get the 17 on there. So now I have this here. Now when you put it on, it actually fits for the most part, and that's gonna do all the work. There it goes. That is out. There we go. So nut is out, and you can see this thing was just rusted through. Nuts in here still. So I'll just screw this on real quick. Pop that off. And there we go. So now this is ready to pop out. It's going to give us problems. So you can either have two ways to do it. You can either hit this castle nut with like a dead blow or something like that, but that's probably not going to work. So the next thing you do is a tie rod separator. Okay, so I tried hitting the castle nut, didn't do anything. So I got this tool here. This is a tie rod separator. It's kind of similar to like a ball joint one. It's probably used for the same stuff, honestly. But you can rent these out at Autozone or Oreillys, I think, and Advanced does it. So Napa doesn't run out of tools, but you can use this. So basically you just want to get it wedged in between the actual the tie rod end, and then the knuckle. So this will destroy the actual ball joint. If you plan on reusing these, then you want to get a different tool. There's another thing, it's a tie rod end remover, but it's specifically made so it's non-damaging. Okay, so I still have this bar in, but next you want to loosen this nut here. This one right here, so you can see this is what basically locks the tie rod so it can't move. Because if it does, then it will end up, you know, messing up your alignment. And so for this, probably a good idea to get like some PV blaster on there or something, and then you want to tighten this because you want it to move towards the inside, so this would allow it to spin off. If you were to loosen it, it'd be try pushing it towards the outside, which would end up just tightening it more against this, which you don't want to do. So we'll tighten that nut, so we'll go clockwise. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is a 17, at least mine is. Preferably you'd want to get a flared one of these, so like this. Basically allows it so it can't slip off, so you can't yeah, get it off, but see, it fits like that, so it's nice and tight on there, won't move. And then yeah, this will just go this way. Okay, got it loosened, so you can see it's spinning the inside as well. Okay, let's see what it does. It's a little bit dangerous. Okay, we got it. You can see how loose my fucking tie rod is. Not that it's bad. Well, it's pretty bad actually, but I was seriously about to go back to Autozone and get the non-damaging one because it was in there so tight. But you can actually see I damaged the knuckle because I was putting so much force on the separator. But we got this off, so Jesus Christ. Next thing we have to do is basically just spin this off. So it was right there. And one thing to note too is if your tie rods are the same length, the new ones that I got are a little bit shorter. You want to measure how many turns it takes to get this off. That way you can just, you know, kind of guesstimate when you put it back together. However, you will still need to get in alignment after doing these. But so we'll just go, fuck, I already forgot. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I was like 15 3/4, which is exactly what the other side was. Okay, so that's good to go. So next we are going to try to take this nut off. Okay, got it on there. So got the 12 on where the actual like cutouts are for a wrench, and then I just kind of stick it in between the lower control arm and the sway bar. That way it just doesn't move. And then you basically just get your 17 on there, and I might pull out the big boy because this one was not wanting to come. So you can see it's starting to move, and this was seized, so this is why I did tie rods in the first place, because that thing was on there. Okay, nut is off, so next we'll just have to get off this boot. And this is reusable. I'm able to just do this by hand. So you'll want to save this little clip. All you do is just close it to open, or close it tighter to open it up. Then slide this off. And there we go, now our boot is off. We're good to take off the inner tie rod now. So for this one, you're gonna need a special tool as well, which is gonna be this thing right here, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so we got this. This is OEM tools. It's gonna be part number 57346. And you can get these at Autozone as well as Oreillys as well. Advanced might have them, but you can rent them out obviously because they're a special tool. And it just costs 95 bucks. And then you get that back obviously when you return it. So how it works is you get basically these different adapters. So these go on the back end here. So this is the inner tie rod. And you can see there's two little notches, which is where this would go. This is obviously the wrong size, but ideally you would slide on there and then you'd be able to turn it off, twist it off. So on the top here, you can see I already have mine in here. So this one is 1 3/16. You might need to go to the 1 1/4. So this is actually the smallest size. And so right here, this is just like a little collar that you move in and out to take them out. It's kind of hard to do with one hand because my hands are oily, but basically we're going to take this off, put this inside on the tie rod end, and then we're going to lock it in so it can't go anywhere. And then on the end here, there's a 1/2 inch drive opening that you can put a breaker bar in. You basically just loosen it and then the whole thing comes out. And the tie rod obviously goes in here. So okay, so we're back under the car, and you got the 1 3/16. So this is where we're gonna put it on right here. And this is the inner the tie rod. This part here is the actual shaft or steering column. So basically slide that on. It might be a little tight because it looks like these are bent in, but get it on there as much as you can. This side's a lot easier actually than the other side, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So next we'll take the tube, and I'm gonna have to set you down. Okay, so we got the tube on the tie rod end. You basically just orientate this so it slides in like that, and then you lock that collar. So I'll have to set you down again. Okay, there we go. So now the collar is locked on there, so this is not going anywhere. And this is tight, so you won't be able to do it by hand, but this is where you get the breaker bar, and we'll get this loosened. We should be good to go. Okay, so we got the trusty breaker bar here on. That's definitely not a jack handle. And we got the socket in there, so 1/2 inch. I'm doing 3/8 to 1/2 inch. So we'll go ahead and just break this loose. So I actually got to lift it up. And it might help if you hold down that side there, so it doesn't just twist on you. There we go. It is off. So we'll grab the new tie rod, take off that little piece, and then I need to pick that up. These come with new cotter pins as well as this nut, but the tie rod that I already got, inner tie rod, already has the nut on there, so don't gotta worry about that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and install everything now. Just make sure you take off that clamp that you disintegrated there. And then on this, so this washer has a flat side and then 2 sides that protrude out. You want to put the sides that protrude out towards the steering shaft, if that makes sense. So you could do something like that, and the reason for that is because there's actually, you want to make sure this is flush as well, but you can see right there, there's grooves that that claw washer is going to go into, so you want to make sure that you get that on there. So we'll go ahead and screw it on now. Alright, so we got that on there. You can see the hooks are kind of in there. So once again, you'll get your 1 3/16 adapter thingy. Slide it on there, and the nice thing is that it won't let you move because that washer's on there. And then you get your tube. Oh, slide that on. All right, good. And then we'll go ahead and slide that collar back on so it can't go anywhere. Okay, so after looking at it, rack end is indeed 38, so the parentheses is 43, and that means without the SST, which is basically a special tool. Okay, so now let's torque down to 43 foot-pounds. You gotta put the boot back on. So you basically just slide it back on. And you want to get this lip over that. So it's kind of hard to do, but basically just force her on there. Okay, there we go. So now it's good. So since there's already marks, I'm just gonna go ahead and mark it at the same spot, or tighten it at the same spot. And to do that, you can either buy one of those C-clips, or in my case, I'm going to be using zip ties because it doesn't get much play anyways, so it's might as well do this. And one is just too small, so I have to use 2. So you guys will probably have to use 2 unless you get the longer ones. I believe these are 8 inches, so we'll go ahead and throw that on. Alright, new one's on there. And you just want to make sure there's a little divot in the tie rod. They just want to make sure that sits in, so where it gets thicker is where you want to put that boot and the clamp. Okay, so you get your nut on there first, the new one that you got with it, and then tie rod end. So I'm already at 1 thread, so I'll go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we'll go 16. Okay, so we got it all tightened in. Got torqued to 35 foot-pounds with the good old Carlisle over there. So last and final step is just, once you get your thing, make sure you lock this nut here at the end. And then in the little hole, you'll insert your pin, which goes through, and it'll get stuck, of course, because that's how it's supposed to be. And then lastly, you just bend one of these over like that. And that's just so it can't go anywhere, and then you can bend the other one if you want, but I'm going to leave it because it's not going to hit anything. So just like that, you're all done. You got to put your wheel back on, tighten everything, drive it, make sure it looks good, and then get in alignment. And that should be it.